Conscious Co-Creation Masterclass, and here we go. Now, if you don't take anything else away from this course, this is really helpful to you, and you just kind of have to tuck it away somewhere and pull it out when you need it. And that is, everything is information. And I want to stress that because information essentially is neutral. Everything is consciousness, and everything is in relationship, either conscious or unconscious relationship. Information, consciousness, and relationship experienced in our hearts and lived with loving attention and intention is awareness. And awareness is not limited by time, space, or physical matter. Okay, so now we're bringing all of our bits together. And I'm going to give you again a context. The overall large, big, we're going to zoom out to macro here. And it's a question of stewardship. So a conscious co-creation cycle is your stewardship relationship with your source, your meta being, your soul, your body, your internal life energy engine, and your external living lessons trigger experiences. So your purpose, your life purpose, is actually coded in your DNA, and your purpose is unique, and it is not subject to judgment, comparison, or competition. It can be, you don't have to be famous. You don't have to be global. This is not a requirement for you to identify and complete your life purpose. And as you learn to co-create, completing your creations with baby steps, your purpose is fulfilled. And as you become even a more intentional steward of loving care, you may actually gain new life purposes or expanded purposes. If you do a good job, they're going to give you more to do. So this is a rinse, repeat, conscious co-creation process, and here are your basic steps. And this is how you get started, and I'm gonna really kind of draw this out for you in more clarity later as we go along. But you have first an experience that is going to include some very strong emotion. And when that happens, when you're triggered into a three-dimensional experience or a deeply internal emotional experience, observe if you're having a reaction. And if you're able to take yourself into observation mode, then you're going to gain charge, and you'll have a bigger electromagnetic energy field, and you will be able to shift your angle of perception so that you see new and different options. And this will give you an additional charge, and you'll gain energy. And from that place, you'll be able to choose to accept or reject the options for change that have come and shown themselves to you. And when this process is in motion, from emotion, you have the option to choose A or B or C. And you can choose whether you want to stay in duality or whether something shows up in through the auspices of what I call the third way. So you can decide whether you're going to find balance in the polarity charge or whether you're going to expand again and choose something that's kind of a little new paradigm for you. Then you're going to set up repeat experiences or more lessons. And we will do this again and again until we understand a theme or a very core narrative that we are working on and peeling back. And eventually you will deconstruct that entire narrative. And when that happens, that's when the opportunity for the quantum jump comes in, and even gaining more electromagnetic charge. And that is when you then are able to move into a really very conscious co-creative partnership that changes timelines and realities. And as I spoke to you, I guess it was last week, we do need a little bit of adjustment time for our physical forms, our cells, to adjust to the new choices that we're making. So you want to keep that in mind as well. All right, now I wanted to kind of map out your path to purpose, because for a lot of people, it's really confusing whether they are they're drawn into drama, they're drawn into external validation, they're drawn into external chaos, because usually there's a disconnect that happens between these two cycles working cooperatively together. On the left, this is your cycle that is coming from your soul, and it's connected to your heart and your body and your feeling states and your mind. And your purpose is, in a way, that's the seed. That's where the seed of your purpose in its fullness is expressed. And then when we come over to the right-hand side, that's what's kind of going on in our bodies when we're having a trigger experience, or when our meta being or higher dimensional self, or just our higher self, is wanting to get our attention, because there's an opportunity for us to grow in a very powerful way and to begin to take on more responsibly our co-creative stewardship. So these two things should always be working together, and you should feel the connection if you are in a good place and you've cleared a lot of your emotional pain body, and you've begun to really allow your heart to be the master of your mind. Then you will be in a very fluid relationship with these two dynamics. Welcome to this webinar in the Conscious Co-Creation Masterclass. And for some of you, this will be the concluding webinar. And the theme of this webinar is full circle. So welcome, and thank you very much for being here. Those of you who have stuck it through to the end, you are, I think you're in for a treat, because I do try to save the best for the last as we build up and gather momentum and energy along the way. This is the Full Circle Conscious Co-Creation Masterclass, and here we go. Now, if you don't take anything else away from this course, this is really helpful to you, and you just kind of have to tuck it away somewhere and pull it out when you need it. And that is, everything is information. And I want to stress that, because information essentially is neutral. Everything is consciousness, and everything is in relationship, either conscious or unconscious relationship. Information, consciousness, and relationship experienced in our hearts and lived with loving attention and intention is awareness. And awareness is not limited by time, space, or physical matter. Okay, so now we're bringing all of our bits together. And I'm going to give you again context, the overall large, big. We're going to zoom out to macro here. And it's a question of stewardship. So a conscious co-creation cycle is your stewardship relationship with your source, your meta being, your soul, your body, your internal life energy engine, and your external living lessons trigger experiences. So your purpose, your life purpose, is actually coded in your DNA, and your purpose is unique, and it is not subject to judgment, comparison, or competition. It can be, you don't have to be famous. You don't have to be global. This is not a requirement for you to identify and complete your life purpose. And as you learn to co-create, completing your creations with baby steps, your purpose is fulfilled. And as you become even a more intentional steward of loving care, you may actually gain new life purposes or expanded purposes. If you do a good job, they're going to give you more to do. So this is a rinse, repeat, conscious co-creation process, and here are your basic steps. And this is how you get started, and I'm gonna really kind of draw this out for you in more clarity later as we go along. But you have first an experience that is going to include some very strong emotion. And when that happens, when you're triggered into a three-dimensional experience or a deeply internal emotional experience, observe if you're having a reaction. And if you're able to take yourself into observation mode, then you're going to gain charge and you'll have a bigger electromagnetic energy field, and you will be able to shift your angle of perception so that you see new and different options. And this will give you an additional charge and you'll gain energy. And from that place, you'll be able to choose to accept or reject the options for change that have come and shown themselves to you. And when this process is in motion, from emotion, you have the option to choose A or B or C. And you can choose whether you want to stay in duality or whether something shows up in through the auspices of what I call the third way. So you can decide whether you're going to find balance in the polarity charge or whether you're going to expand again and choose something that's kind of a little new paradigm for you. You're going to set up repeat experiences or more lessons. And we will do this again and again until we understand a theme or a very core narrative that we are working on and peeling back. And eventually you will deconstruct that entire narrative. And when that happens, that's when the opportunity for the quantum jump comes in, and even gaining more electromagnetic charge. And that is when you then are able to move into a really very conscious co-creative partnership that changes timelines and realities. And as I spoke to you, I guess it was last week, we do need a little bit of adjustment time for our physical forms, ourselves, to adjust to the new choices that we're making. So you want to keep that in mind as well. All right, now, I wanted to kind of map out your path to purpose, because for a lot of people, it's really confusing whether they are, they're drawn into drama, they're drawn into external validation, they're drawn into external chaos, because usually there's a disconnect that happens between these two cycles working cooperatively together. On the left, this is your cycle that is coming from your soul, and it's connected to your heart and your body and your feeling states and your mind. And your purpose is, in a way, that's the seed. That's where the seed of your purpose in its fullness is expressed. And then when we come over to the right-hand side, that's what's kind of going on in our bodies when we're having a trigger experience, or when our meta being or higher dimensional self, or just our higher self, is wanting to get our attention, because there's an opportunity for us to grow in a very powerful way and to begin to take on more responsibly our co-creative stewardship. So these two things should always be working together, and you should feel the connection if you are in a good place and you've cleared a lot of your emotional pain body and you've begun to really allow your heart to be the master of your mind. Then you will be in a very fluid relationship with these two dynamics. And when you're in that place, I don't know where to put us now, I'm going to put us over here. When you're in that place, you then recognize what's going on. And this is when we suddenly have that aha moment. And it could even be as strong as a deja vu. Like, I have been here before. This is a rerun. What is going on here? So we have an experience trigger, an emotion, we make the observation, we go to new options, and then we're given the opportunity to do something new and interesting. Okay, so the full circle is your creative partners, Source and Gaia and all the elementals. They really would love to make it easier for you to fulfill your path to purpose by setting up the most energized, electromagnetically charged environment that is free of duality limitation. And it also has a lot of fun and playfulness and surprise and delight in it. So again, you're going to, when you come on to a trigger experience or when you're ready to set out your morning or your day, and you're going to be in relationship to your personal process, which I like to do first thing in the morning and the last thing before I go to sleep at night. These are the awareness states that you can voluntarily invite into your time frame: self-love, self-reflection, self-responsibility, self-forgiveness, self-awareness, and the peaceful relaxation into the understanding that love is a state of being. It is not a feeling or an emotion. All right, so now let's talk more about the triggers. And I'm hoping that when I get to the end of this, some of you, this is gonna, some lights are gonna go on. You're gonna understand this process, and you're going to know that you've been going through it many, many, many times. It's been part of your growth and maturation and your transformation and your development. So we all know a trigger, and a trigger doesn't have to be a negative. A trigger can be a positive. So I don't want you to just assume that a trigger is something that's going to necessarily put you in a bad place. It could be something wonderful, an amazing surprise. Either way, you're going to have an experience of an emotion. And either way, you're going to want to bring yourself into a neutral, relaxed place of body awareness with the trigger experience. And that will allow you to relax into your body, mind, feeling, and your intuition. And from that place, you will be able to listen and keep your eyes and ears open for all the little floater, the little follow-up bits that are attached to this and that are going to come along and show themselves to you as internal perception. So this is your internal process. Now, we're going to look for the connection and fluid interplay between that going on inside of you internally and the corresponding mirror activity that you will see, quote, out there with your eyes externally. Now, this is a diagram of the cycle of what could be happening with you with your external perception. Again, same trigger. Again, the same emotion. Now, in this, when it's an externalized experience, the emotion may push you or encourage you or drive you into motion. And sometimes that's wonderful and it's perfectly appropriate. And then you may have a body reaction or a response, also perfectly appropriate. We all have moments when we've got a split second to make a really important decision about, you know, putting on our brakes and stopping, and, you know, or we're just going to end up in a situation with another driver who's not quite paying attention. There are all kinds of scenarios in which you have this opportunity to recognize the external trigger experience also going on in 3D and how you're going to be interacting with that in a physical way. And again, you're going to be given the opportunity through your emotion and your body's response to come into a sense of intuition and feeling, and that energy will flow, if necessary, into decisions and actions that bring the trigger experience full circle. And it will be something that you are changed by, one way or the other. So when we're talking about our triggers, some of these, the really big ones, some come from our personalities, but some of the trigger experiences that we have in life, our most profound living lessons, I would say originate in the soul, just to keep things simple. And these triggers then move into a structured framework over the experience of time. It could be a few hours, few months. Sometimes the soul trigger is something that can take you through years of having to work something out. And during that experience, you are going to be given one or more opportunities for expanded self-awareness. And you're going to feel that awareness, and it is going to be a driver for more connection between you, your personality, your body, and your soul, the part of you that is eternal, that is infinite, and that is sitting right outside and until you eventually have the experience of embodying your entire soul, which is one of the things that as we go along, is very available to us right now. Now, when we go through this, we do then shift our angle of perception and perspective. And when we're doing this, and we're engaged in this, and we're not shutting ourselves down, we're open and our hearts are open and we're curious, we are also learning, and the learning is shared in the morphogenic field. So this is the sharing part of the cycle, right? So just again, I want you to be aware of this is the overall overarching collective stewardship process that we are in globally right now. So when these trigger experiences come along, I don't recommend asking why me, because when you connect why and me together, that tends to feed the mind and the ego. And it tends to create a story narrative, which may become one of those little fences that one day you're going to have to, take down. So I recommend asking what's happening to increase your awareness in the moment. What's happening shifts your angle of perception into the now moment. It takes you closer to the null point, the 0 point time, where you move out of clock time, earth time, and you can move into soul time when you ask what's happening. Because when you ask what's happening, the information that becomes available to you is then going to be multi-layered and possibly multi-dimensional. All right, so just to cover a few more basics. When we grow into awareness, and I would say awareness is when we're conscious in relationship. We're aware that we are conscious of something, and we are aware that we are not by ourselves or doing something just on our own. And that's a magnet for the energy, the feeling that we call truth. And truth expresses always by increasing charge. When you hear the truth and you have that feeling of your hair standing up on end and you get that tingle through your body, that is electromagnetic charge increasing, right? Clear as day. There's no doubt about it. And I'm sure almost everybody in this room has had that experience where they've heard the truth and they felt it as increasing charge. So it's always a good idea to ask for the truth of what's happening as any trigger experience unfolds in the moment. And sometimes we're a little bit verklempt and we necessarily can't pull ourselves together enough to ask in the moment, but we can take it into a self-reflective process. Now, what I discovered many, many years ago was my reaction time and my time to go through all of this information. I would have an experience trigger, and 2 weeks later, I'd have the aha. And then eventually it was I'd have a trigger experience, and a week later, I'd have the aha. And then it was a day later. And then it was a couple of hours later. And then it was a few minutes later. And now it's more or less, instantaneous. So that will give you some sense of how you can change your relationship to time as you change your angles of perception and your availability to be in a neutral, open, and engaging relationship to information. So our angle of perception shifts when we gain charge. Our relationships shift when we gain charge. And change happens when we gain charge and know what to do with it. This is an example of when you can go into a trigger experience and you lose electromagnetic charge. It's still a co-creative experience. It still involves emotion. You may or may not be able to observe. You may be drawn into reaction. And then your choices, usually when we go into reaction, our choices shift immediately into the duality frame, where it's going to be either this or that. It's going to be you or me. It's going to be us or them. And when we lose electromagnetic charge in that way, the mind takes over, and instead of healing the pain body, we're contributing to the pain body. And we then can manifest offense. Okay, so this is I wanted to give you a visual of what it can look like when you have a fence that's been constructed. So we're gonna go around the dial. There's the trigger. And then one of the responses to the trigger may be anxiety. It may be a compulsive behavior. It may be an inappropriate or an emotion that is used inappropriately. Anger is a perfectly appropriate emotion, but when we use it inappropriately and we allow our anger to push us into destructive behaviors, that's a different story. We can move into addiction. Addiction it's the drug of choice. It could be TV, it could be sleeping, it could be tuning out. It could be going shopping. There are all kinds of behaviors that we need to really be aware of that are addictive behaviors. And the question is, what is the addiction to? The addiction is to a substitute experience of high rather than having the experience of gaining life charge. Okay, so we get high instead of getting expanded, more life force. And it's interesting because people who become addicted to substances and get high and then have to get high and then have to get high again, they do bring in some biochemical reactions into their cells and into their DNA relationships that mimics electromagnetic charge, but that's not what it really is. Therein lies the problem. Now, we can also produce wasted time, money, and energy. And if we do this long enough and strong enough, we will co-create a breakdown. And when we co-create a breakdown, we may at least get some relief. And the relief may be just that we get real with ourselves. I found that to be very relief producing over the course of my life. And when we get relief, we may also navigate towards finding our way into some kind of a release that's going to actually bring us a gain in charge. We will very likely experience a time reset, and we may go through another cycle of frustration. So I want you to see here that most people live in a very narrow slice or frequency band, they have very intermittent or even totally denied access to their core self. And when that's happening to you, you are still co-creating, but this is what you're co-creating. You're creating fence after fence after fence, narrative after story that justifies why you are living in this little tiny band of frequency. I need you to see this. I need you to understand what it is. Okay. So this is how we construct faulty wiring neurologically and fences psychologically, emotionally, and energetically. So the previous diagram lists many of the possible means of short-circuiting the electromagnetic flow that is your life force finding its way through and in and out of your body mind, fully available to all of who you are. Every red arrow in that diagram is the equivalent to a short circuit through which you are sabotaging your life purpose, probably shortening your lifespan, diminishing the quality of your life and the quality of your relationships. And eventually you literally have no charge left with which to consciously co-create your life purpose. So co-creation is about being in charge. It is not about being in control. Okay? It's about not being in control. Co-creation is about being powerful. It is not about having power over anything or anyone. So along the way, as we sort this out, we get the opportunity to choose being loving over being right. And then we go into the heart flow experience where our heart is now starting to manage the flow of our trigger experiences, and we gain charge and gain and gain and gain. Our electromagnetic fields become full. We're able to literally, like an orchestra conductor, be part of co-creating a beautiful creation of an experience. And we can do many of these big, small, little micro moments during the day to a wonderful event that we may work days, months, or even years to complete. So we learn to be loving, powerful, wise, and in balance. So this is, again, when you've worked this through, information, relationship, consciousness, awareness, choice, in a sovereign setting of your sovereign body, mind, emotions, heart, spirit, and purpose, you gain freedom, you gain charge, and you just continue moving in this cycle, because every time you're triggered, you know what the process is, you know how to handle it, and you become the steward of that learning experience. All right, so I'm going to say it again. Full circle conscious co-creation is when you move through these cycles with grace, with ease, with fun, with a sense of joy in your body and in your spirit. And you know, you're going to be one of those people that always has a smile on your face, because the source and Gaia and her elements and matter itself is now in partnership with you, making it easier for you to fulfill your path to purpose by co-creating the most energized, the most electromagnetically charged, and the clearest and clean environment that is free of duality limitations that you will allow. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how this then cycles into a quality of both communion and communication with your source, with our beautiful beloved planet, with all of her elementals, with matter itself, with space and time, with the multiverse, omniverse, and with the glue of love that then actually becomes your portal of both connection and purpose and focus and direction and intention. So here again, here's your cycle of daily. This is what you're going to kick this off. You know it now. I hope you're going to learn it by heart. You start with giving, go to asking, receiving, sharing, and giving thanks. And you understand that you can be invited into another person's co-creative cycle at any one of these points. And it's fun to recognize it when it's happening. Now, when we begin to take on our sovereignty and our stewardship for all of this, our relationships will change. They will change in our primary families. They will change with our siblings. They will change within our marriages and our significant other partnerships, with our children, with our relatives, with friendships, and with business associates. And so once you begin to do this with intentionality and with clarity and with your heart open, things will change. And some of that change will mean that you will have to choose whether you're going to go into a new paradigm, or you're going to stay in your A or B limited duality, and who is going to be ready, willing, and able to join you in that journey. And that can be challenging because sometimes we end up letting go of relationships. So we've got to be prepared to be conscious about the trade-offs when they start to show themselves to us. We go through these cycles and we come full circle. And we come into a happy ending because every cycle is going to have a beginning and an end and flow into the next one. We can have happy endings. We might have painful endings. We may have mutual release and letting go that's loving and constructive and thought through carefully and lovingly. And we may just kind of lose our balance and find ourselves in chaos and drama and turmoil. But eventually we'll get back to rights, because life is meant to help us find our way back into balance and help us to understand that this is our birthright. So when we fall down and we mess it up and we kind of fumble and faff about, life will be the cure, and life will get us back on some cycle where hopefully we can begin once again to be consciously aware of what it is that we are co-creating. Now, you may also sometimes find that you get the opportunity to let go of an illness that's part of your releasing a fence relationship. And it's a relationship that may have the agreement that you may have made unconsciously is to say small, smaller, or smallest. And we can have relationships with people who at the personality level really do are considerate and kind and love us and think about it, but at another level, a larger level and a soul level, they are asking us to keep an agreement to stay small or to get smaller, to be the smallest person in the family, but definitely to not get bigger than they are. You can take on an illness if you continue to hold on to fence relationships that carry narratives in which you are in agreement to stay small, either to continue to have external validation and approval as a substitute for love, or you are willing to accept incomplete love that is consistent. Okay, so let's talk about your giving intention, because that's a key piece of all of this. Complete creation at the soul and multidimensional level. So ultimately, that's what we're giving our hearts to. And when we become conscious of that, it's super fun. We are giving, and we're willing to give intention to experience an exchange of unconscious relationships for conscious ones. We are willing to expand and refine our personal energy fields of consciousness. We are willing to give the attention and intention and focus to develop a loving care stewardship of our bodies and our planet. We are willing to give ourselves permission to change so that we better serve our stewardship tasks and our life purpose. And those are important things. That's an important part of our giving intention. And we also can give the intention that we will give ourselves permission to receive the benefits of all life purposes as they are being fulfilled. Just take that in for a minute. Because when you open yourself up to that energy flow and you are giving and sharing, and there's mutuality in that, every day, all over the planet and in the multiverse, life purpose is being fulfilled. And we all have the opportunity to say, I am going to give myself permission to receive the benefits of that. And that's something that we might call grace. All right. So now this is welcome to the fifth dimension and beyond. Because when you understand your stewardship role as a conscious co-creator and you move through these cycles, taking all of this information into consideration and continuing on with your personal process so that you can do so, your frequency will change. There will be nothing that you could do to stop it. And the frequency that you will change to will be to a fifth dimensional frequency or beyond. Now, what that means is, at least for right now, that you're going to have the experience of waking up every day energized. Your time spent will be interesting. You will find yourself doing things that you enjoy with people that you enjoy in environments that you enjoy being in, and that you are in a fluid, graceful state of grace pretty much all the time. Your body will respond to these frequencies. Your DNA will respond to these frequencies, and you will find that you have more energy and that your health, your vitality, all of these things are likely to improve if you give yourself permission for that to be so. So what's the key difference between the third dimension and the fifth dimension? On the third dimension, there's the frequency of doubt and there's the frequency of fear. And you need to understand that both of these frequencies can be used in a co-creative cycle, but it's a cycle that will diminish us, right? So when we're in the three-dimensional experience with limited consciousness and we're in a more unconscious state than we are being conscious, we do not have the frequency to experience what it's like to be in relationship with the planet and with all of creation from a place of ease and flow and grace. And this has nothing to do with money. And, you know, it's people will look at somebody who they will use the adjective, they will describe them as being successful, which is a paltry label. It's not a good label. It's an inaccurate label. And they will feel, I don't understand why everything works out for that person. You know? And there can be resentment and there can be anger. And resentment and anger are excuses for not taking stewardship responsibility for our co-creative birthright and looking externally and going into comparison, competition, and judgment, which are not fifth dimensional frequencies. So it's really kind of simple. It's just getting into the habit and the practice and the relaxation of it as well. And giving yourself permission that this is how you want to use your birthright. Okay? I want you to leave this program with a sense of freedom and sovereignty and empowerment, and that you have the tools of engagement and you have a process that you can use yourself over and over and over again. I will tell you folks, this was hard one for me. I got all this crawling around on my hands and knees with my eyes closed, feeling for things on the ground. Okay. But this is what it is. And then when you want to create more, I will explain how you can create more in terms of what frequencies you ride and where you allow them to you know, we always use the experience like we're moving somewhere, we're going somewhere. It's not really, I mean, it is movement, but it isn't movement. It's a funny feeling, but you'll get to understand what that feeling is like if you carry on this way long enough. So it's a feeling of moving, like your consciousness is moving. And if this is how some of us accomplish time travel and space travel and interdimensional travel, because we can identify these frequencies in meditation. We can identify these frequencies in group work and in very, very consciousness and co-creative relationships. And one of the ways that you will notice that this is beginning to happen is in your dream time, because you're so much freer in dream time. And you may begin to meet beings in your dream time that you then develop relationships. And you, when you become awake and aware, you will see that you are not on Earth anymore. And you are yourself, you are somewhere else. And because of the conditioning that we have on this planet, we are taught that that is not real. Okay. So you're going to see people in your dream time, and then you may meet them in the real world. Or you may be in dynamics with people in dream time. And then you will also have an interaction with them in 3D to help you anchor your sense of how fluid you are in time and space, so that you have a GPS and you can always come back to your body as long as you're ready to do that. And you can use your body to continue to interact with what's going on with planet Earth, especially as we're going into these fifth dimensional frequencies in the collective. Okay. So really, you can begin to learn to ride these frequencies just like a bird rides the wind. All right? And then you can begin to emit. You're now a beacon, and you can begin to emit 5D and higher frequencies in three-dimensional settings, and you can reshape limiting situations. I'm going to give you an example of this. Back this spring, I was visiting a friend, and we were at a garden party, and people were playing music, and it was someone's birthday party, and I had been invited. I didn't know anybody, and I was having a really good time. And this new friend sat down next to me, and she was a little agitated. And so I said, well, you know, what's going on? She said, oh, I can't believe it. I helped this woman move out of her apartment into her new place. She's an artist. She's this really cool woman. And I mean, just last week, I helped her move into her new apartment. She got the flu. It went into meningitis. She's in a coma right now. She's in the hospital in a coma, and she's not expected to recover. She said, I can't believe it. So I said to her, well, what's her name? So I was given her name. I said, well, later tonight when we get back, you know, we're done with the party, I will go and I will call her out of the coma. If she wants to come, I will call her out. So I went back and I did my thing, and I connected with her at other levels, and I just said, hey, if you want to come back, I'll bring you back. If you want to come back, I'll help you get back. That was that. So that was like a Saturday night. And Monday I was speaking with my friend. I said, oh, by the way, how's so-and-so? She said, so-and-so is out of the coma. She's awake. She's talking. The doctors can't figure out what the hell happened. I went by, stopped to see her. Nobody can figure out what happened to her. Okay. So when we do get this, right? Why wouldn't you extend that if you could? Why wouldn't you share that? And if someone was willing to receive it, well, how cool is that? Yeah? Okay, so you can emit 5D frequencies and higher frequencies. I didn't even have to meet her. I didn't even have to see her. Okay? And we can gracefully reshape situations and circumstances. Okay. So there you go. So welcome to your multidimensional self. And so much of this is simply letting go of that fence that you hold on to, that is the one that you will not give yourself permission. All right. So we are now, what I have shared with you really is multidimensional. It's a universal language. It's good information. It applies in pretty much any domain in which you will ever find yourself. It's it's like having a Swiss Army knife. You know what I'm saying? Like you just want every now and then you want a practical tool that you can rely on and you can count on. A Swiss Army knife will work for you anywhere you are on the planet. It's a really handy little tool to have. Okay. So there you are. This is, again, how you get in touch with me. And I hope that I will hear from you. And as you know, in the Facebook group, I invited us as a group, now that we've bonded and we've had some movement and things are happening for people on all kinds of scales. And remember, our life purpose is not subject to judgment or competition or comparison. So, good. All right, so I'm opening this up. I had asked if there was anyone who wanted to volunteer to be in the heart seat in these few minutes that we have to share where they are in their journey, whether they've come on to any new insights or inspiration or ahas. And I would love to hear from you. And, it's a little moment of vulnerability, but, we kind of, I think, know each other well enough now to maybe. Hi, Paul.
Hello. Yeah, I got lost for a second. Everything went off.
So, no kidding.
Yeah, no, I've told you before, like me, I just dive in, and I was just thinking when I actually emigrated to Canada, that they had me table dancing. They got me drunk, and I was actually table dancing, and so I've never been too shy about things, but
awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I mentioned it in the post I made today about, for me, the co-creative cycle. I get this huge ball, and the way you mentioned about just grabbing that little piece, that really put things in perspective for me, because it's, when you mentioned about a drink, I get a bucket on me, and so yeah, it's just a small thing, but those little visuals really made it clear that, okay, it's all right having the big picture, but just take a little piece. It's like, they say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so a lot of what you talked about in the course was kind of really over my head, and I don't fully grasp it, but it's all in there, I understand, but it doesn't really, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but for me personally, it doesn't matter if I don't get it or I don't grasp it, because I know the knowing is there, and I'm just taking those little pieces. So I don't know if that'll help anybody, but that's how I feel.
Thank you. That's a wonderful sharing, Paul, and I really appreciate it, because part of what I do is designed to bypass your mind.
Yes.
So it's going in, and
right.
you'll spit it out later.
Yes. No, it's all good, it's
Thank you. I'm so glad to have had you in this course.
I was glad to be here.
I'm thrilled to pieces with your project.
Yeah, it's coming along. I've got everything done. I'm starting on the next book now, but it's a program. It's not really a book, but
okay.
And it's all there. I can see it. I just got to put it together. So.
When you're ready, you'll let me know, and we'll make sure that you have a section in the library, in my Living Lessons library.
Oh, okay.
All right. With sure. your contribution to the library. I see Liz.
I wanted to just share an experience I had on Wednesday in the group. And when you were talking to Andrea, and I had this horrible headache, and when you said rearrange the information, the headache just went, and it was gone. So I've been using that for days. Okay, I need to rearrange this information. Just wanted to tell you that, wow, that was just a huge thing for me.
Beautiful. Use it in good health. Use it in good health.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.
You're welcome. Yeah, that was really nice because it was interesting to feel the group in a cohesive energy so that those who were energetically sensitive could feel what was happening, which is a wonderful validation for you.
Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome. Wonderful having you in the group.
It was just wonderful to be here.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hi.
Anaiis, sorry.
Oh, it's Anaiis.
Anaiis, sorry.
That's okay. I go by Anastasia too. So I wanted to speak to the biggest circle, I think, that you showed in the charts where the fences, and then that one piece where you have that connection to your core, energetic, the organic light. And that is something that's developed since I've been working with you. It's intermittent. It's some days it's, well, when it first started, you know, I had it for days on end and I didn't know what it was. And I do know it's extremely pleasurable in the body. So it makes it easy to follow things that are happening. So I know where to put more of my energy. Sometimes it's a little confusing though, because it's so pleasurable that I might want to put energy somewhere that it probably doesn't belong. Because it doesn't, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so if it's like really big and I'm, you know, in it, sometimes it feels like I have to sort of manage my energy in a way that I'm not
used to yet. You're learning.
Yeah, because it's, I don't think everybody's walking around feeling like that. So it's, you know, I can't come off like, oh, I want to hug everybody or kiss everybody. You know what I mean? Or just be bigger than.
Yes.
And I got to chill it out. Because that much pleasure is amazing. And I think it's amazing that we could actually live where we're experiencing that 24/7 and more. So I get what you're saying when you say the charge is building, and we move, and then some days it dies down. And I've had it where for days in a row I was like, where did it go? It didn't.
Oh, well, when that's happening, because this is dynamic, sometimes without you directing the process, you are in the process of rearranging information. And that energy is being focused in that way. Yeah. And when it's kind of rearranged things and it's like, well, let's see if this fits now. And it comes out and says, gee, what do you think about where we are right now?
Yeah, because I can relate to the idea of smallest in my last relationship. And it was in ways that I didn't even see till I really started moving away from it. And I'm sure I'll continue to see more. And turned in a relationship where that is, it opens me to even more of my own abilities and gifts, and the actual co-creation process with another person, and it's working. I'm actually seeing how it, happens.
Beautiful. Good.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Keep going. Good learning.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
To notice I'm doing more of, and I'll never look at a chemtrail in the same light again. I took a photo this morning. Every time I see one, I say, are they air sprites or air sylphs?
The sylphs will do it. The sylphs can be part of the cleanup when you call them in. And
Right.
I love it that you're paying attention to that. I really feel like we're growing into a time where, because of the way we can direct this energy, we know how to direct it. I am so looking for people who are willing to partner up, and let's just put a stop to this.
Well, I don't know if I've just noticed they were chomping away at the ones this morning. I took a photo, another photo. Actually.
Oh, I hope you'll share that with me. Yes, they do chomp away, don't they?
I sent you one, but I don't know if you ever got it because I didn't get a reply. But yes, I've noticed now. And so every time I see a chemtrail, I sort of think, come on, sylphs, if you'd like to come and eat it, come and eat it. Yeah, and just things like that, and sending the orbs to the Pacific Ocean. I've been doing a lot of that.
Thank you.
I've put ochre. I asked the Aboriginals if they'd allow me to put ochre in them, because ochre's apparently got very powerful healing qualities. So I've been sending them with ochre and getting them to self-multiply 100,000 times, and off they go. So I don't know if that works, but that's what I felt drawn to do. So, yeah.
Thank you.
That's okay. I get great pleasure out of doing that. I feel like maybe that's why I've come here, to do all this sort of healing. I don't know. But it's good.
Yeah.
Made me
When
aware.
it feels good, you know you're on track.
Okay, I do.
Okay. Awesome. From Deborah. Let's see if we can tune into Deborah.
I thought I would share. I came into this class knowing, I have done some co-creative stuff with Anaiis, and still knew that I was not playing as big as I should be. So that's been my focus for this class. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So just in the last week, I had a couple of confirmations that I was moving in the right direction. One I shared with Anaiis was that in the middle of my workplace, somebody blurted out, when are you going to start doing my healing work full time? And I looked around the room and I could hardly believe she was asking me this, because all my coworkers and my boss are standing there, and like, she's asking me when I'm going to quit. And I felt like that wasn't probably the best place for me to announce, especially first time around, that I was even thinking about that. So we just all kind of giggled, and I thanked her for the compliment, but I thought it was a kind of a confirmation, if you will, that is people are seeing that, they're kind of giving me permission that I should do that. And then just this morning I got a letter from somebody who said she felt like she needed to apologize, and I was a little perplexed because I didn't feel like she had anything to apologize for. But she wrote me a lovely letter saying that that she apologized because she had not really understood what I was doing with my healing, and had felt that she had misjudged it, and asked me could I forgive her, and would be open to some future conversations about that. So I think when you start to let go of your fences about how big or small you think that you are, that things serendipitously come around to kind of confirm that for you.
That's so great, Deb. Nice, nice.
So,
So nice to see you.
yeah, nice to see you too.
Hey, thank you for sharing. Can I share the work that we did together that was so powerful?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So early on, you may remember, you may not, I mentioned having done some global work out of my compassion for when we were having that Ebola outbreak in 2014. And I really felt that a worldwide pandemic was unacceptable. And then it would be an engineered pandemic. It would not be a pandemic that the planet was bringing to us. It would be man-made. And it would be designed to clear the continent of Africa, because it's so much easier to take resources if you don't have to spend money fighting with them. You can just kill them first and get them out of the way, right? As we did in North America. So I called Miss Deb and I said, hey, Miss Deb, you know, I'm not feeling real good about this, and it really only takes 2 or more of us to set an intention around this. Would you be willing to do this with me? And she was. And so we agreed that we would do a 30-day daily meditation with an interaction on the actual virus. And we did. And I set that up. I put it up as a Facebook page, and I put it up on one of my specific websites for that purpose, for these longer processes. And we did it. And we kept our commitment. And we decided after 30 days, we needed to go on a little longer. Now, at that point, all the news was talking about there's going to be a pandemic, and come January of 2015, the world will be infected and it will be everywhere. And no. So we kept working and we kept working. And I think we got somewhere past the 60-day mark. And we were doing a very specific meditation using orbs and specific frequencies and working directly with the virus. The virus came in of its own accord. I didn't have to go get it. Okay? It was an amazing experience. And I want to let you know that we knew what was going on, and we knew that we were making a difference. And with the Facebook page, I ended up getting a communication from Mark Zuckerberg thanking me for putting that page up. And then he followed up with a donation for funds to fight the Ebola virus, giving the money to physicians and other people who are working on the front lines. So that just gives you a flavor. So thank you, Ms. Deb, because we really kicked some vital ass.
That was a fun project. It was a fun project.
And it was wonderful verification for us, because we were in close communication and we were tracking what we were doing as the days went on, and with the diminishment of the talk. And then it was gone, and then it was gone in Sierra Leone, and then it was gone in Liberia, and it was just gone. And the New World Order did not get to have that. They did not get to manifest that. Deb? Okay. I'm sure we weren't alone, but we were really tracking it. We had invited every healer on the planet to join us, and we gave them, a way that we were working with it. And I think lots of people took that up.
Right. I checked, I think, at about 2 weeks into the project, and we had like 60,000 views or something like that on the Facebook page. So it got a lot of eyeballs. And even though not very many people said that they were joining us specifically, I believe we probably had a lot of people giving their good intentions in our same direction. Yeah.
And we harnessed that energy and used it.
We did.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Deb. So nice to see you. I miss you.
Feelings mutual.
Okay, honey. All right. Thank you. All right, Liz. Is Liz still with us? Does she have her hand up? Okay.
You were talking about viruses, and I've been dealing with one for the last, like, I don't know, 30 years. And I think it's offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, been around so long, and I've chipped away at it and feel way better. But you were talking about hot seat, fences. That's one of mine. I'm not sure it's the big one that I keep working at, but
I think you're right. I think it is a fence. I think you have a tremendous opportunity to move forward quickly with this and to get insight onto how to specifically work with it for you, that particular virus. Yeah. I encourage you to do that. I would. And I would encourage you to have a direct communication with your meta being and your soul, and just announce that you have reached that place where you can be in stewardship. And it's a conscious choice. And you would be very, very happy to have them come along and join you in registering that information.
Yes.
Oh, we didn't put our hands on the machines. I've got my hands on the machine.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It's happened a number of times.
Yeah, let's everybody put our hands on our machines. They're hearing us now. They're going, oh my God, they're talking about sex and viruses with energy. Oh my God, shut it down. Hi, machines. We love you. You do great work. Thank you for being in cooperation with us tonight. We appreciate it. So what I said is that Liz can go into direct communion and communication with her higher self, her meta being, her soul, and announce to them that she is ready to be in conscious stewardship, and that she is more than delighted to have them come in and return that conscious relationship information and help her rearrange the information so she can deal with this health situation and this virus in a way that's unique to her. And when she does that, she's contributing to the morphogenic field for everyone.
I think you got that, Liz, right? Because you are still choppy. Obviously, the information is upsetting to the other side of the force.
Too bad.
But you got it, Liz. You understood. Okay, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Yeah, we're going to reach breakthrough.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like you to review that. So what you're saying is that she contacts, or anyone in this situation, I would imagine, would contact their meta being and their what cell of the soul to release them from this.
No, I didn't say that.
No? Okay.
No, that's passive.
Okay.
No, you ask for communication, communion, cooperation for rearranging the information. You are an active participant.
Good. Okay. Good.
You don't ask Big Daddy to release it for you. You don't ask Big Mama to release it for you. You stand up in your sovereignty and you say, here I am, ready to be in full conscious communion and stewardship of my own body. Please be with me and let's rearrange this information. And in doing that, I will be a conduit for sharing that information with the human morphogenic field.
So you really do feel that each person that moves their fences, whatever their fences may be, are doing it for the whole collective.
Sure. You betcha.
So it's got a collective and a personal energetic. Yeah, I totally got that. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Liz, what?
Yeah, that is so awesome. Also, I know I have some, I'm sure everybody has hidden fences. Can you go at it the same way? Even though the fence is hidden, or do you need to know what that fence is?
You can go at it in the same way, and it's like following a trail of breadcrumbs, right? And you just keep going, and you keep going, and you keep going. Now, Anastasia brought in an interesting point, which I just take for granted, which is that when you're having this union, you also want to have your body awareness and your DNA and your entire body intelligence is part of this conversation. This is why we are doing our DNA activation, why we're going into our mindfulness that now includes going into our DNA structures, both the actual coded strands and the mitochondria. And again, announcing your stewardship, your conscious stewardship. I am here. I am ready to be in a conscious stewardship relationship to you at the most minute level. Now, when you declare that and you announce it from your place of loving intention and sovereignty, there is no way for that request to be denied. But you have to ask. Here I am. Now I am asking you, we are taking up this relationship in a conscious way. And I am standing here and I am in a role of sovereignty and stewardship of my own body. Let's talk. Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was very clear.
Good. All right. Beautiful. Your body wants this from you. It's longing for this from you.
I'm sorry, I'm really getting you're saying to your body this, or you're saying this to your medicine?
You're saying to your physical body.
Okay, and then you call in the help from source, from Ma, to co-create it with you. But you're talking to your body.
Talking to everybody, honey.
You're talking to them all simultaneously. Well, that's what it felt like. You're talking to everybody simultaneously.
It's a meeting.
Okay, okay.
It's a committee.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And we do it for the morphogenic field, which means now I'm feeling this right now. I am sitting here, I've got chills, my hair is standing on end because we are in the realm of truth at this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Liz is feeling it.
Having hot flash.
You're feeling it, lady. Yeah. Okay. So this is our birthright. Yeah. Circulate it. Air. Bring in the air elementals. Woo! Beautiful. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So again, I want to really express my deepest, deepest, deepest gratitude to you for making the choice to come into my co-creation cycle when I asked for you to consider coming in. Yeah? Thank you very, very much. Because that's my full circle. All right. Good. So peace and blessings to you all. This is going to go in. It's going to serve you well for a long, long time to come. I thank you, and I'll see you Wednesday. All right. Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you, Sienna Leah. Thank you, everybody who shared. And thanks to all of you who didn't. It's okay.